Hi, I'm Stephanie Pullman, and you're watching the Strongher Together podcast. In the 5th episode of today's podcast, I share the mic with Alman, who is our current member advisor and has worked at Pherform since 2018. We talk all things about women, our self-doubt, and what stops us from moving forward. We trust you'll enjoy this episode as much as we did making it for you. If so, we would love for you to share it with the world. And now we begin. Welcome to our 5th and very long episode of our Strongher Together podcast. It's been a while since we've done this, a little bit over a year. But I want to thank you. So our guest today is Almond. Almond is one of the staff here at Pherform, the longest lasting staff member that we actually have here. So you were here before me, joined in 2017, August 2017, I think?
August 2017, I think.
Yeah. 2017, and then you started off as kitchen manager, doing some front desk, and making smoothies. I still dream about those smoothies.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
I miss making myself breakfast
Breakfast
smoothies.
every morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got promoted into member assistant, so doing all the house front of house operations, and then got in 2020 was promoted into the member advisor position.
Yes.
Where your responsibility is to welcome all new clients, but also anyone who is a member renewing and just ensuring that their experience here at Pherform is top notch.
Yes. What a journey.
I know. And going to school the entire time. Yeah. When did you graduate again?
2019.
Okay.
I was doing my fitness and exercise degree.
Okay.
And all the while working full time here at Pherform.
Yeah.
So it was a crazy journey, and I do not want to do it again.
Right.
Going to school.
Well, yeah, but you still study now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, doing like extra courses on the side and things like that. Just expanding my knowledge and education wherever I can. I mean, it helps with the job. So I think learning is always an important aspect of being able to help other women in this industry.
So I think it's important. You have an incredible backstory. Would you mind sharing with us a little bit more about that? Because I think that is pretty powerful for people to kind of understand where you came from and kind of where you are now.
Yeah, I mean, fitness has always had a huge impact in my life, and it was more so the sporting aspect. Growing up at home, isn't really the best situation, and a lot of the times I would stay back in school trying to add myself into all of these extracurricular activities and all of these sports like basketball, volleyball, athletics, martial arts, even anything that I could to just stay after school for like an extra hour or two. Little did I know that this, kind of escape for me would turn into this incredible passion that I now have and will always continue to have in my life. Going into high school, I still, play basketball. I dabbled into cheerleading and, even theater arts. Even though it is more of the arts, there was a lot of physical activity involved in that, and a lot of movement and a lot of dance. And, obviously, as you grow older, you tend to realize, how important movement is, and you grow body awareness. And so that's kind of the growth that I've experienced, like realizing, oh, actually, I love the way I feel, doing all of these sports. I love the way I feel, when I have adrenaline, when I play rugby, all of these things that my body is reacting to or my body is the result of. It's an incredible feeling what the body can go through,
And do you remember feeling that playing sports, or was it later that you recognized how important and how impactful it was to be part of organizations and groups that were specific on sport?
Yeah, definitely much later. I think through high school, when you're going through puberty, you start to be a little bit more self-aware. Obviously in primary school, you're kind of just like, well, it's fun, so I'll do it. And, that's why I think I've realized it more later on, the real impact that it had on me, without realizing it, back then. Like, being able to actually feel the changes that's going through my body and being able to feel faster, feel stronger. Actually, that's the whole reason why, I did ballet as well. And I moved straight from ballet into rugby.
I was just going to say rugby, yeah.
And my mom was like, are you sure you want to do that? Is that like the right choice for you? But it was like the best choice ever. Just because I did realize too, like my body just wasn't fit for ballet. Mm-hmm. I just didn't naturally have the mobility, the flexibility. Obviously, that's something that you work on. But, I didn't have the right physique for ballet. I didn't have the right neck for ballet. Like, there are a lot of natural characteristics that you need for ballet, and then, of course, enhance that through training. But I realized, even while I was doing ballet and cheerleading at the same time, I realized, actually, I'm kind of strong. Because I would be the base and I would, lift girls up, and a lot of the times the girls were a lot heavier than me, and I was like this little skinny girl, mm-hmm. At the bottom. But I was like, actually I have quite a lot of power. And so that's actually when I started doing rugby, and then realizing that I needed to build muscle, just because I was injuring myself quite a lot, and I didn't want to, be hospitalized really early on, at like 17 or so. And so that's when I started going to the gym. And obviously at that age, you kind of see everybody on Instagram, on social media, the way people look and the way, women look especially. And just seeing like, actually, I really want to have a body like that. And of course, while I started going to the gym because of aesthetics, it certainly grew into something much more than that. And that's exactly why it led me here. Actually, funny story, an ex-colleague of ours, Ari, I was playing rugby with her a few years back, and I remember I was just desperate to get into the fitness industry, but I didn't know how to get my foot in the door. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm just going to find anything you can give me, right. Any opportunity possible, I will take it, just as long as it, gets me in the door. And she was like, actually, I have this opportunity for you. It's not much, but right. They're looking for someone to make smoothies. And I was like, me, I got it.
Did you work at a coffee shop before that?
I did. So it was a coffee shop, and then it was kind of like a healthy gym food, fast food. Yeah. They did end up opening up a gym. Unfortunately, it didn't go very well. Okay. And so I had to move from that, because I was kind of doing the front desk for a little bit, mainly the food aspect, and then, I managed to get this opportunity through our ex-colleague. And I was like, yes, super excited. I just want to get my foot through the door. And at this point, I had no idea what Pherform was. I didn't even hear about it. To be fair, I didn't even know of any of the gyms.
Right.
But, the one on Park Island where I live, it's $20 to get in the door, and then that's it. It's like open gym, you do your own thing, right? So that's kind of how, I was led here and into making smoothies. And, I tried my best to tell Alex, our our founder, but ex-CEO and owner, that I wanted to do more. I know I have potential, and there's something in me that can give more to this company, and I love, the theme that we have and the community, and I know that I'll be able to add some kind of value to it. So 5 years later, I am still here.
Yeah. Well, I remember I think you joined in like August, and I mm-hmm. came at the end of December, and I remember being extremely impressed that this 20-year-old who was doing a full-time job and going to school, living in Park Island, getting on the bus at 5:30 to get to the gym at 6 a.m. to run the front desk until 2 p.m. and then go do sports and play rugby and still train and show up every day. Like, the fact is, I was like, I don't know people my age who would do that same exact thing. So, like, work ethic was extremely, like, impressive of you. But then also the way that you carried yourself, I think, like, just knowing someone of your age and little experience, obviously, and you've grown massively since then. But looking at your journey over the last, almost 3.5 years, 4 years, and I'm like, you've changed completely as an individual for the better. But again, you had those foundations in the beginning that set you up to where you are now.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my life experiences of just, you know, being surrounded by a lack of work ethic, actually,
right. Yeah.
you know, really pushed me to try and be the best version of myself, and that was like the most important part. Whoops. Be the best, you know, version of myself, really. Towel break.
Don't want a wet booty.
Yeah.
Things like it.
Yes. This episode is sponsored by LifeAid. But yeah, as I was saying, you know, a lot of my life has been revolved around a lack of work ethic, and so in school I worked hard, and whatever job opportunity I had, I worked hard, or I tried my best to work hard in school, you know, in university I did my best, and with everything that I do, I mean that was the biggest lesson for me, I think, just wanting to put my best foot forward and just try. I think that was the most important part for me, and I like where it's gotten me so far. So I'm very grateful to Pherform, and of course to Steph here, for giving me those opportunities, and for everybody else in our staff to give me the opportunity to present myself the best way I can.
Yeah. So I think in your position, one of the things that you're responsible for is meeting with all brand new people that are coming into Pherform and having a sit down, and you talk about everything from, you know, training goals, lifestyle goals, nutrition habits, everything up until the point in which they join Pherform that they've done before. You know, and I remember one of the concerns that you had going into a role like this was that how is someone who is X older than me going to listen to what I have to say, being a 22-year-old who has less life experience. You know, and that was a big hurdle for you, is to overcome the objective that you were telling yourself is I'm not necessarily I'm not good enough, but that the fact is, why would someone listen to the opinion that I have on how they can change their life? So in terms of like those type of conversations with women, do you feel like you've gotten more comfortable? Like obviously, we're talking. You know, how many people that have we had go through the K30? Like
I can't even count.
We've had at least 60 people. Okay, at least over, and each of those individuals have had a consultation and a one-on-one conversation. And I, like, even to this day, every time you have one, we always talk about the conversations after, and they're at the majority of the time they're the same. Whether someone is 22, 40, 60, majority of women have the same concerns coming into a new training regime, new training lifestyle. Could be, you know, the nutrition that they've tried previously and failed time and time again. Couldn't make time in their schedule, you know, for training, and therefore everything else lacks. You know, so looking at those type of conversations, what made you more comfortable in having them with each individual?
I mean, it was just the repetition. I mean, of course, you know, back then when I first started, my age was kind of my concern. But then again, it was also just the story that I was telling myself, you know, and a lot of the women that come through, I mean, we're all just human at the end of the day. So a lot of the women that come through, they also have this story that they're telling themselves. And so it was almost like a learning opportunity for both me and that person that I was having a consultation with, because the more they spoke, the more I learned about myself, and the more I spoke, that we were able to just continuously have this, you know, growing connection. And I think, you know, with every person that I have a consult with, I just feel that growing connection. And of course, with experience and repetition, the more comfortable I got with having those conversations. But then, the more comfortable I got with having those conversations, the more I saw the repetition and the issues that people were having. And so now, I just know, whenever I'm about to meet someone, I just know that, you know, although all of our stories are different, I know we all come from the same place. We all want the same thing. We all want to achieve the same goals. And ultimately, even though it can kind of hide, behind, like, let's say building muscle, or it can hide behind aesthetics, I want to lose weight, whatever it might be, at the end of the day, we all just want to live a healthier lifestyle. I think that's kind of the demographic that we have for the women that come in here. None of them want to be bodybuilders. They're all working moms, and they're all, working young executives, and some even students, and some maybe single moms, things like that. And they all just want to be able to have control over their lives. Because I think the one thing that they don't have control over is how they see themselves, how they talk to themselves, how they take care of themselves. Because they're always busy either taking care of work, or taking care of their baby, or taking care of somebody who is not them. So that's generally the pattern that you see when coming to perform. Everyone wants the same thing, even though we all have a different story.
Do you think that the story that people are telling themselves, do you think it's something that they've made up, or maybe it's something that someone has told them before and then they believed it?
Yeah.
Or maybe a combination of both?
I think a combination of everything. We are the type of people, that is made up of everything that we've been told, or maybe everything that we've experienced. And I think, with social media now, you're able to see so many different faux, stories, or false misinformation, things like that. It's a lot easier to tell yourself, something that isn't real. And so that's generally, what I see with a lot of the women. They come in here thinking, okay, I'm not good enough, and so I need to change myself by X, Y, and Z, or I'm not strong enough. And it's always a negative connotation.
There's a lot of self-doubt.
There's a lot of self-doubt. Especially there has been a lot of tears shed in those consultations, because the whole purpose for those consultations is to really get deep and real with yourself. At this point, it's not just about training. It's not just about fitness.
Most of the conversation isn't about training.
No, not at all.
It's about lifestyle and the things that they're going.
Yeah.
So, you've had a couple K30 meetings this week, right?
Yes, I have.
Do you mind sharing, maybe, since it's fresh in your mind, maybe a story about one of them, and whatever one's sticking out in your head?
Absolutely. I do have one that's quite a favorite of mine, just because speaking of my age and, the growth that I've had, she mentioned that she wasn't really sure, how to share to somebody so young, just because not necessarily.
And she expressed that to you?
Yes,
Oh,
not necessarily because she didn't trust me, but just because she felt like she was just completely opening up her life to a complete stranger who was like maybe 20 years her senior, and in a way that made me feel really good, because I was able to, make her feel like she could trust me with, such valuable information. But, for her, she has never been able to share such vulnerable things about her life to someone before. Maybe not to her husband, maybe not to her friends. So it was a very special moment for her to be able to just be herself, be vulnerable, and share her fears and struggles and concerns.
And I'll say that we nurture that type of environment, that the fact is, the moment they walk in, you can feel it, that we actually care. It's not, yes, we provide training, but it's more about the support that we provide through training and through education. And for someone to feel that comfortable to share and be vulnerable, that they haven't ever before, is something that is very, very unique to Pherform.
Oh, absolutely. And it definitely helps that, for me, this is more than just a job. It's my whole passion in life is to be able to help people wherever I can, doesn't matter what industry I'm in. I just want to be able to add value to people's lives. And the fact that I'm here with Pherform and I am working in the fitness industry, there is a very big impact that we all can make. And so, that's what happened with this woman. And, she came in not expecting, any big, I guess, any big conversations or any big changes to happen. But I think, she came out of it feeling almost relieved, number one, and just feeling like, okay, this is where I can take a big step forward in my life, and that for me is like the biggest win that I can have, and that for me just validates what I do and why I do it. So yeah.
We're in the business of behavior change.
Yeah.
Like, we're teaching people how to change behaviors that they've had that have not led them to where they want to go.
Yeah.
And training is what we know that when you can make training consistent and as a habit, there's a lot of other things that fall into routine. Sleep, recovery, nutrition, our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with other people. The conversation we were having earlier, with one of our coaches, and that the fact is, training is a porthole for so much opportunity for you to live life.
Yeah, they're all interchangeable.
Right.
Like, that's why, whenever we come into these consults, I emphasize it's not about training. It's not about nutrition. It's everything you do in your life, all the life choices that you make will lead you to where you want to be. It's not just about, making this perfect program or making this perfect eating routine or making this perfect sleep routine, whatever that might be. Because at the end of the day, you can have all of these being perfect, but if you are not kind to yourself, if you do not see yourself the way you want to be seen, if you do not treat yourself the way you want to be treated, none of it matters. Because yes, you can lose all the weight you want. You can, train 6 days a week, 2 hours a day. But at the end of the day, if you're not happy, then it really doesn't matter. Like, you have to have a balance in all of these things to then be able to feel, be optimized in all of these things. So it's really, really important not to just focus on the tangible things like training and nutrition, but really digging deep into your life and thinking, okay, where are my issues? And really being, real with yourself of like, okay.
But that's hard for people.
It is hard.
And I think we're lucky enough that they reached out to us. Mm-hmm. They said, hey, I need Pherform's help. And again, this doesn't happen until after they made the purchase of the Kickstart 30.
Yeah.
And granted, we have the buyer's journey that we go through in terms of asking them a little bit more information when they first contact us. Typically, they go through the 3CP or the 3 classes beforehand. But it isn't until they purchase that Kickstart 30 where we have that conversation.
Yeah.
So it's how many people are having these doubts, having these feelings on their own and not even reaching out.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we have them understand the impact that they can have on their own life, to reach out, to contact us and let us help, because at the end, like, we all need help, and the more that we have in our community of people that are going through the same thing, the more of an impact that we're going to be able to do. And a lot of times these women have done the I need to get fit before I come in.
Yeah.
Right? They try it out on their own, when in fact every single time that they've done before, they failed.
Yeah. We just need a little support, and it's okay to accept that. And we're in this exact place. We have Pherform for that exact reason, to be able to provide you ladies the support that you need and the education that you need, and just a safe space to be yourself. And I think that's the most important part of training, is having that like-minded community that you can surround yourself with and be able to grow, not only in your training, not only in your nutrition, but in just your everyday life. We have had ladies who've made tons of friend groups through Pherform, and a lot of the times, even though maybe sometimes they're not here with us anymore, they always give us credit for being able to build those relationships and build those friendships, which is super important for, if you're trying to be able to build a healthier lifestyle. Social life is an important factor, for sure.
So what would you say one of the top 2 or 3 topics when you're having these conversations with women, what are they actually looking at getting out of their training? Because normally it's short-term goals, right?
Yeah.
It's body aesthetics.
Yeah.
Body aesthetics or body composition
is
going to be the first thing.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah, Yes and no. I think maybe a few years ago, I say a few, maybe the first year of when I was when I was a member advisor, it was a lot to do with aesthetics. I want to lose some weight. I just had a baby. I fell off the wagon, whatever that might be. And so, yeah, maybe that was like the first thing that, popped into people's minds of wanting to change. But I've certainly seen a shift, especially this year, from protests to COVID, and actually just people wanting to focus on living a healthier lifestyle. They've realized now, yes, maybe the aesthetics, are kind of slipped in here and there, but people now realize the importance of movement. A lot of people are working from home. The gyms have closed down. Suddenly you're wearing masks outside. So there's really, little to nothing that you can do.
Right.
And so they reach out wanting to finally make this lifestyle change because, we're all growing older. And so a lot of the times they're realizing without movement, they feel more stiff or, they're getting less mobile. And this is something that they physically feel before they start. And so they're wanting to prevent this as much as possible. So it's a nice shift being able to see that. But of course, with COVID, there are a lot of bodily changes. A lot of people are seeing that they have gained weight, they haven't eaten well. And so this is a part of why they are wanting to make that change. But I think, the priorities have definitely shifted over the last year compared to, let's say, several years back. Even when I was a member assistant and I was having these conversations with them, just, getting to know them a little, like, why are you here? What is your purpose? And, what are your intentions? And a lot of the times it would be, I just want to lose weight. I want to feel good, look good. And all of those things are super important.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, they haven't yet gotten deep down to the real reason why they're here, which is maybe self-confidence issues.
So are there certain questions? Okay, so let's dive a little bit deeper into that. So if let's say someone comes in and saying, hey, we were closed for 104 days, they didn't do anything. They weren't a member before, they didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. They probably ate more, they drank more, they had less activity, they're working from home, and they made the choice, right, I want to change.
Yeah.
What are the type of, what does that conversation look like in a consultation with someone?
Generally, it's
because there's probably a lot of people who are in the same exact boat and still haven't made the choice to at least try out the Kickstart 30.
A lot of the times it's I want to build strength. Not even I want to build muscle, actually. Okay. Obviously, building muscle is a more aesthetic thing, but I think a lot of people have realized, oh, dang, I can't lift as much as, I thought I could, or... Right. And, building strength has been definitely the biggest one, and being able to either carry their baby. A lot of, COVID babies now are popping up. So, or maybe, wanting to lift their bag overhead, things like that. And just noticing that, okay, I'm actually having a lot of struggle with that. But, in terms of building strength, a lot of it comes from wanting to build that consistency too. A lot of the times the ladies who have come to Pherform never done any exercise before, they're like, I realize I need consistency in my life because I'm just waking up every single day, not knowing what to do. I'm working from home. I'm not having movement. I feel tired all the time. I just feel like I don't have a routine.
So then what do you, so if that's like, I don't have a routine, I don't have consistency, kind of where do you guide them next?
Yeah, well,
what do you say to them, or what does that kind of conversation look like?
I literally just say the first thing to building a consistent routine is just to start.
Okay,
that's literally
it's as easy. It sounds easy, and it is really easy.
Yeah.
But people, they stop themselves because they're like, I don't actually know where to start. Versus,
that's the thing. They don't know where to start. But the fact that on their own account that they've purchased the Kickstart 30 or the 3CP, whatever that looks like, that was the first step for them in getting their foot in the door. And now they're able to have this opportunity to sit with me or sit with any of us to then realize, okay, actually I've done my part, how can I get that additional support to now move myself forward? And it takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of guts, it takes a lot overall to really just start something new in a place that they maybe never heard before or maybe have. with a room full of people that they don't know. So if you're listening to this, give yourself a pat on the back, because it does take a lot, and especially to share your fears, share your concerns, share your problems to a complete stranger. It does take a lot. So the first step really is just to start. And I mean,
so what about, so in starting, most of those people are some of the people have never stuck to it before, and therefore they probably have this negative connotation towards it, saying it's like, well, I tried to do it before and it didn't work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of the times in that case, it's like, well, what are your intentions? If your intentions are purely just aesthetic based and you don't see those results in, let's say, 2 weeks' time, well, then that's where you kind of fall off the wagon, right? But a lot of the times with aesthetics, unless you've stuck to it day in and day out for months, and you're able to work up a somewhat healthy eating routine, you're not going to see those results. So a lot of the times, these women that come through and say, oh, I've done something and it didn't work. Well, it's like, okay, well, how long did you stick to it for? How consistent were you? What were your eating habits? Did you go out a lot? A lot of people tend to forget that alcohol, adheres your fat loss process. A lot of those things do affect
well, it affects your consciousness. Then the food that you're also eating when you're drinking is probably not the same amount, that same food and the same amount that you would eat if you were sober.
But I think, intention is definitely a big thing in terms of wanting to stay consistent, because at the end of the day, I can tell you, hey, try and commit to 4 classes a week minimum, but at the end of the day, you have to choose, you have to be the one to do that. There's only so many things that I can give you advice on or give you suggestions for, but at the end of the day, what is your intention of wanting to come in? Is it just purely fat loss? Is it a complete lifestyle change? Is it just purely, aesthetics? What do you want for your life? And generally when, you see those people who come in purely for aesthetic goals, those are the exact types of people that tend to fall off the wagon first. Because, let's say with the Kickstart 30, they're expecting this huge change, but also, the last 2 years, they haven't done anything. So if you're going to come in not having done anything for the last 2 years, expecting for this big fat loss change in just 30 days, unfortunately, you're just not going to have that. And so, I think this year, a lot of people are realizing that actually it does take time. I think, they think it's more important now to just have consistency in their lives, having a routine, and just to make themselves feel better physically and mentally. And a lot of the ladies who have joined us previously on the Kickstart 30, they've now seen this shift physically just by being consistent for 2 years or for a year, let's say. So consistency and your intention is definitely a big thing if you're wanting to start,
Well, and I think we have real and authentic conversations with them when they express saying is, well, I have 30 days. I want to see what I can do in that 30 days. And there are other gyms that would say, yeah, we can get you to where you want to go in 30 days.
Right? Like quick fix. 8 week.
Summer body challenge. I just got contacted saying, hey, there's this summer body challenge that this nutrition company wants to do. And I said, thank you, but unfortunately we're not interested in it. I don't want to set someone up with this summer. I don't like the idea of a summer body, because at the end of the day, your body is your body. It doesn't change with seasons. And yes, there may be an aesthetic aspect associated with it, but how about saying is accountability? Or how do we get into a routine over a period of time? Because that is part of it, is that consistency itself. But we could easily tell these people, like, of course you're gonna get a pull. You're gonna get a pull up. The goal of I want to get a pull up. Yeah, you can get that in 30 days. Realistically, no, over time. But I think it's hard for people to recognize what does consistency mean for them when it comes to training, because they've never had it before. They've never made it a priority. They've never made themselves a priority. So for us to say is like, well, we can easily train, 5 to 6 times a week because it's part of our lifestyle. But for someone who's never done it before,
Yeah.
it's a lot harder for them to say, it's like, whoa. You're asking me to train 4 days?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I mean, that's the thing. You just need to get better by 1% every single day, right? Like, if, let's say, 4-5 classes a week seems impossible, let's start with 1, and then build up to 2, and then build up to 3. It's just all about taking that baby steps. You can't go from 0 to 100 at all.
And
You know?
they'll contact us and
Yeah.
they'll say, is like, hey, can you tell me about your long-term memberships? And we said, not a problem, but let's talk about what the intro packs are.
Exactly.
Because let's talk about short-term right now to see how often you're coming. Well, yes, but I want to know. Well, have you ever had a gym membership before? No. Okay, so now you're looking in the future of something that's probably going to scare you off because you've never done it before.
I mean,
Start small and then work up big.
Yeah, I've definitely had ladies, before even asking what trials we have, what are your membership options? Obviously, price point is an important thing, but at the end of the day, you don't even know what we have to offer. You don't even know the value that we bring or are able to bring into your life, and you're just judging it based off of
A price.
number. Yes, exactly. And so a lot of the times people think, oh, that's too expensive, and it's unlimited memberships. I don't think I'm able to commit to that or be able to make it of value. So a lot of the times people just scare themselves off, and then they go somewhere that's like, let's say, $1,000 per month, and it's open gym, but they find that they don't use it.
Right. Well, at that point, there's self-motivation that requires them to actually go.
Yeah.
And the price itself, they assume, well, now because I have a membership, I'll go. When in fact, you can get a good workout in down by the pier.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need a gym in order to actually get a good training session to better yourself.
Yeah.
But that $1,000, now you wasted it.
Yeah. I think
And you've gone twice. And
mean,
now it's actually $500 per session because you went twice, and it's like,
And I think that comes back to the story that people are telling themselves too. It's like, oh yeah, I have a gym membership. ...
Right.
Silence. But
and that's what I love.
never
We
use
ask.
it. Yeah.
We ask. Okay, great.
Well,
how often do you go?
And they're like, well, they like to dance around.
Right.
That answer, because it's like, oh, they always say, I used to go, 2 to 3 times a week, and then that's at the end of the conversation. But I'm like, okay, but what do you do now?
Right.
And that's when they go, little finger to the lip, like, I'm not really sure how to answer that. And so it's about that accountability. They don't realize the importance of having a community that will reach out to you and that will message you saying, hey, where have you been? I see in my little chart over here that you haven't been in, let's say in 2 weeks. Like, what's going on? How can we help you get back in? And even though, yes, a lot of the gyms in Hong Kong throw around accountability, they throw around consistency, they throw around community, I believe that there's no other gym like Pherform that really stands true to those terms. I mean, I don't know anybody else who would message you personally on their personal numbers saying, hey, how have you been?
Haven't seen you. Where were you in class yesterday?
Exactly. I mean, I saw you booked in and I saw you cancel
Right.
out. Like, where have you been? The amount of times I've messaged people saying, hey, I saw you canceled out. I emoji. Like, like, where are you? And they'd be like, oops, sorry, but thanks for messaging in. It means a lot. Just those little things. I mean, the little things matter. And I think we do provide those little things. And not just because it's a job or, because we're required to, or that it's a necessity, but we just genuinely care. And I think people do see that, and the longer that they're here, the longer that they do see that we really are a community, and more so than a community, more so like a family. Just because we're there for each other, and I think that's the most important thing. And I think when you're looking at consistency, having that community constantly, supporting you and asking where you've been and asking how you are, that helps you stay, for sure.
Yeah, and once you get once we kind of make that intro, then people start creating those relationships with friends. And then in there, you have the friends who come to the same time every single day. And then they're like, hey, where were you yesterday? And so now you start having these group chats with the people. So now you have not only us holding you accountable, you have your group of people who are very like-minded, who are like, right, instead of, on a Friday night, instead of going out, we're going to get up and go to class early morning on a Saturday. So they're holding you accountable. You can hold them. And so like that community outside, like you were saying before, those friendships that were gained here, add a lot more value into your life, and then you start going to hikes and you start doing a lot more things with your life outside of just the gym.
I mean, it's like a domino effect, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of our Kickstart 30 ladies who have graduated into having memberships with us long term, whenever they see new Kickstart 30 ladies and they're in the corner or they're shy and, they're kind of having this like closed off body language, they have been there before. They know that feeling. They understand where these people are coming from. So it's like a domino effect. They see them and they introduce themselves. They welcome them in. They start making jokes, and they start, conversing. It's the beauty of community. You understand where those people have been because they've been there before, and we've all been there before. Again, we're all
It's
human,
scary walking into a new gym or anything
absolutely.
new. You think of your first day at a new job.
Yeah.
You don't know anyone, and everyone's like, hi.
Yeah.
Like, everyone wants to meet new people.
What do I do?
I know. Well, we were just saying, like, one of the ladies who's on the Kickstart 30 now, she's an introvert.
Yeah.
And she was, you're like, oh, she's not really friendly, like, not necessarily friendly, but she's not as bubbly as I thought that she was going to be based off of, like, our conversation. I'm like, she'll warm up, and now completely different.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I don't even take it personally, just because I know if I force kindness on them and I force conversation on them and I force bubbly personalities at them, they will open up, and almost 99.9% of the time it works.
Yeah.
You just need to be in their face with love and kindness, and they will
they start embracing it.
They start embracing it, and they're like, actually, I really like being open and being bubbly and having this open personality, and that's what creates this whole community. Now we're just bouncing off of each other with love and support and constant admiration,
and wanting to get better. Like the fact is, right now, and we've seen this shift and transition in the industry in general, but also here at Pherform, over the years of more people. Our strength classes are our most popular classes, meaning they have the highest utilization. Those are the classes that the women are attending the most, the strength classes. Where, 4 years ago, I would have said maybe it was a little bit more on the conditioning, the cardio side, but like the strength classes are the ones, because women want to get strong. They want to have, and when we get strong, we gain confidence. When we gain confidence, that then reaches out to both our personal lives, our professional lives, our, emotional relationships that we have with ourselves and others,
the way we
our
carry
partner.
ourselves.
Yeah. Like, the fact is, like, there's an empowerment that comes with that strength training, and that the fact is, I had that self-doubt that I couldn't lift. I was coaching this morning, and the ladies before lifting they're like, I can't do that. And I looked at them and I was like, did you try? No.
Yeah.
Then how do you know you can't do it?
Yeah.
And I was like, if you can't, if you try and you can't, then I'll step back.
Yeah.
But let's at least try it, and then we know whether or not to do it. And they all did, they all did it. And I was like, there you go, ladies. We need to work on that self-doubt and that conversation that we're having with one another.
I mean, that's
because I believe in you more than you believe in yourself right now.
Yeah. I definitely see that with a lot of the women coming in. People already hold themselves back. I mean, I had a conversation recently with someone saying, okay, I know I'm going to commit 3 times a week minimum for the next 30 days, but I know I'm not going to commit to that past that. And I was like, why?
Well, then what's the point? Yeah.
Yeah. And she was like, because of time management. I just know it's going to take a lot of time, and so I'm not going to commit after 30 days.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and
was this in a Kickstart 30 meeting, or was this before even starting a 3CP or Kickstart?
It was in a Kickstart 30 meeting.
Right,
so she was already holding herself back because she thought it was going to be too time consuming, and she knew she wouldn't be able to do it long term. And I was like, well, if you're able to do it in the next 30 days, why can't you do it forever? She was already holding herself back before she even started, and this was like within the first week,
Right.
you know, and she was like, well, I just know I get lazy, I get demotivated, and, you know, she was basing all of this on her previous experiences, not on the now, not on the what I want for the future, not what I want for my life next. And she was like, yep, I know for the next 30 days I'm good, but then after that I'm going to be lazy.
I think this is where we come into play, is like if someone were to say this, it's like, okay, this is what you've done previously. Then continue to do what you were doing previously if it made you happy. Did it make you happy? No. Then why would you continue to do exactly what you're doing before?
Yeah.
This is where the change comes into play.
Exactly.
This is where we can implement new things that will drive you forward of what your expectation for yourself, but the goal is. Your expectation is only for 30 days.
Yeah.
Then you're
only going to get 30 days.
You're only going to get 30 days in.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go back to the same patterns, habits that you had before.
Yes.
Which is not getting you to where you want to go.
And actually this person was specifically, I mean, she specifically was a member of ours previously. And actually I had asked her, hey, what have you done since we've last seen you? Which was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Nothing. Okay. And her coming in, she was like, I want to be able to, let's say, learn the movements for the next 30 days and then join a gym by myself so that I can do these movements. And I was like, girl, you haven't done anything in the last 2 years because you specifically said you were being lazy. So how are you going to be so sure you're going to keep yourself accountable
when
afterwards?
you couldn't be,
Yeah, when you couldn't keep yourself accountable before in the last 2 years. And you knew that it made you unhappy. So why are you repeating this process? Anyway, it's a work in progress.
Right.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
She's been doing very well so far. And actually committing to more than just 3 times a week minimum. So she's actually surprising herself. And that's actually another thing. A lot of the times the women that come in, they're, setting themselves the expectations of, I'm only going to do the absolute minimum because that's what I think I can do. When in reality, they have so much more capacity for that. I mean, that goes to not only just in training, but in classes as well. You see people picking up, the 5 kg dumbbell because they know they can do it. But the only way we can grow and the only way we can progress is by reaching for the 7.5 or the 10s or maybe adding an additional class. And so, in these meetings specifically, I always say, always go for the thing that you feel like you can't do. Because at the end of the day, you can still just go back to a 5 kg. You can just go back to 3 times a week, but at least you tried. You're not holding yourself back before you even started. Because that's the whole thing with learning and progressing. You try something that challenges you. And a lot of the times, these ladies don't even take that step. So that's my goal, really, for all the women that come through. I want you to pick something that challenges you every single day, whether that's going for an extra class, maybe going for an extra walk, like getting off a station earlier and getting those steps in.
Any type of movement is movement.
Yeah, anything that you haven't done that is like a small challenge. Because again, we get better by doing something new or something progressive 1% every single day. That's the only way we get better. A lot of the ladies that we see, they've, especially our tenured members, they've gone from no exercise to suddenly coming in 5 times a week. It's automatic. Eating, high protein, good quality meals, it's automatic. Now making in their steps every single day, it's automatic. I mean, you just need that consistency over time. And again, that's why we're throwing around consistency all the time, but it's so important for everything that you do. Even with work,
Right.
Not everybody enjoys going to work, but we do it because we know it's important. And it should just be the same for training and fitness. Maybe some days we don't have motivation and some days we don't want to come in. Some days we're having a bad day, but you still make it in. Not because of motivation, not because of, feeling like it, but it's important for your everyday life. I mean, we brush our teeth every day. We don't necessarily enjoy that, but we do it every single morning because we know it keeps our teeth healthy. And that just goes to show consistency over time makes anything happen. It's how we set ourselves up for success.
So one of the questions that we kind of on this topic that someone had asked us was, how do you balance the difference between working towards a goal, and specifically in training, and getting burnt out? And so I would say that this is a little bit more towards individuals who have maybe been training with us for a while, and have a specific goal, and I would say is like, we've been open now for a month, right? And the consistency that we're seeing in majority of the members it's been fantastic. Them coming on a regular basis because they didn't have access to it before. They realized how important it was on their schedule, their routine, but also their mental health. Like, I think that was the biggest thing. But a lot of the women have said it's like, I've just been sore, right? And what we're seeing more is that they're attending the main room classes, the FSC program, and that is all aligned with one another, where before they would be doubling up on classes. And that's where that burnout comes in, is that they feel like more is better versus more isn't better, as long as we're strategic in our programming, or at least within their training. So, in terms of a burnout, talking about someone who's like, right, I want to lose weight. Okay, I want to lose weight, and that's their ultimate goal right now. Fine. They want to train, 5 times a week, 4 times a week, but then they also want to go on a very, very low nutrition diet. Okay, and I think that it's important for us to kind of talk about that conversation, because nutrition does come up in a lot of these consults, not just consults. Nutrition is a conversation that we have with quite a lot of people, right? And we give advice. We give our own opinion. We're not nutritionists, right? But the habits that we see with people are significantly, I would say that majority of them are the same. Most people are eating way too much, or they think that they're burning more than what they actually are.
They're not tracking.
Quality of food.
Yes. I mean, they're eating out all the time, or just ordering out all the time. And I think, it goes hand to hand whenever people start, training at Pherform. Because I've noticed even in our initial consults, we'll get to the nutrition part, and it's always kind of like a like, oops, I don't know, how this conversation will go. But it's not about the judgment, it's about just understanding what you're eating. Again, we're not nutritionists. I'm definitely not a nutritionist. I'm definitely not perfect in my nutrition. But I have a good enough relationship with food and a good understanding enough of food to be able to say, hey, here are some suggestions on what might work for you. Because at the end of the day, we're not trying to build bodybuilders. We're not trying to build people for competitions. At the end of the day, these ladies just want to focus on a healthier diet, good quality. They want to feel good. They want to be able to eat for their training, eat for their day-to-day. And a lot of the times, they're not. But a lot of the times, the ladies do come prepared. They say, I've been training for a week now, and actually I've noticed since I've started training, I've been making better choices with my food. And, it just goes to show, like, all of these things, nutrition, health, lifestyle, training, sleep, they all go hand in hand together, because it optimizes our life. It creates this amazing balance that we can see with, our sleep, our nutrition, nutritional choices, and training habits. So a lot of the times with training, you're able to see this increased awareness in food, which is a big thing. And a lot of the times, the ladies that come through, they always have a basic understanding. They know what they should be doing. They understand, protein is important. They know that sugar should be consumed in moderation. Alcohol should be consumed in moderation. But before they've started any of this, generally it's just kind of eat whatever, drink whatever, snack on whatever. No thought about it. But training does help with starting on that good routine around, like, say, starting to eat good quality food. So starting to make your own foods at home. And that's actually the biggest advice that I have for people is, if you want to see change, start making your food at home. Just by changing that quality of foods, you will see and feel a big difference in your training and how you fit in your clothes and how you look, and just, you know, the way your body feels. You feel less puffy because there's less inflammation.
I think people just they overwhelm themselves in saying I have to change my training, which I did none before, and I need to overhaul my entire nutrition.
Yeah.
And they get so overwhelmed they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And then that's where not necessarily even the burnout, but it comes into, now I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know where to start, and it stops me in my tracks from doing anything at all.
Or, you know, they come in saying, I want to do keto, I want to do fasting, I want to do all these different types of diets, but it's like, okay, well, have you ever just made food at home? No.
Right.
So you're expecting to go from, again, 0 to 100. You're not setting yourself up for success. Even though, yes, we understand it's hard. You know, you see all of these fitness influencers, you see all of these people doing these crazy, insane diets, and you're like, okay, that's going to work for me. Okay, maybe, sure. They might work for you, but only for a certain time.
But that's also, and what I think understanding is that's their job.
Yeah.
Their job is to sell you on something and for them to be in that aesthetic look.
Yeah.
I think where I remember when having these consults with people, and still today, it's like, okay, what is your ultimate goal? I want to lose some body fat. Okay, fine, we'll lose some body fat.
Yeah.
What does your nutrition look like? How much drinking are you doing?
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing.
How
They're
much
like, well, yeah, but I go, you know, they like to go out and they like to have dinner. Okay, does that make you happy? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like to go out. Then continue to do that.
Yeah.
But also understand you're going to have to balance out that the fact is what you want is not achievable by doing the same exact thing that you've always done.
Yeah.
If food makes you happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the outcome of that food on yourself makes you happy, then continue doing it.
Yeah.
But if you want to change, something has to go on.
Yeah.
So can you maybe reduce, rather than going out to eat 4 days a week?
Yeah.
Can you do 3 days a week?
Yeah, I mean, that's
rather than consuming, 5 margaritas, can you consume 3?
Yeah.
And so we're not asking you to make a drastic change of all to nothing. It's maybe you reduce a little bit today.
Yeah.
And then reducing a little today, then reduces the next week. Maybe we increase, a little bit more of the cooking at home. Can you cook at home one meal a day?
Yeah. I mean, with these ladies, I tell them straight up, I'm not telling you what to do. Because at the end of the day, if you're super happy with your social life and you want to go out and that's important to you, I say that's great, because it's important to be able to have that lifestyle balance. You want to be able to have a healthy social life. But also, if you're wanting to get strong in the gym, you're wanting to lose a little bit of body fat, you have to find that balance for yourself. You can't have it all. So you can still go out, but yeah, like you said, just maybe instead of 5 margaritas, let's go for 3, and just stay consistent in that.
Yeah.
It's all about just reducing one thing at a time, and then maybe adding one healthy thing at a time, and finding that balance. With nutrition, I tell people, I'm not going to tell you to cut all your calories, because that's not what we do here.
No.
It's all about finding, yes, you want to be able to enjoy food, but be able to enjoy food in, an equal manner. So being able to have high protein, moderate carbs, moderate fats, definitely high veggies. And that in itself, even without, measuring, you will find a big difference in terms of your mental clarity, maybe your organization and how you plan your food. Ooh.
Georgia.
Ooh, uh-oh.
Can you come look at your computer? It went to the screen.
It's okay, there's audio.
You can hear it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. But yeah, you just need to find a balance in what's important to you.
Well, I'll use a personal experience. So obviously during the closure, my movement was less than ever before. We didn't have group classes. I attend group classes. I love the environment and the coaching aspect of it. We didn't have that anymore.
Yeah.
I was definitely drinking way more than I was before.
Yeah.
And I wasn't tracking or eating. My eating was too much.
Yeah.
So eating adding the eating, drinking, and less movement, right? I found myself being unhappy with the way that I was feeling. I was waking up lethargic. I literally wasn't sleeping well. And a lot of those factors, alcohol has always affected my sleep. I get emotionally drained the next day after drinking. And journaling has been a big thing for me in terms of like realizing that is like after drinking, I would write down how I felt, and over time I'm like, this is the same feeling that I'm having all the time. But it's also a coping mechanism that a lot of us do. Do and use. And I finally said to myself, I was like, right, is the habits that I'm having right now with my training and my nutrition something that makes me happy? No. Then I need to make a change. And I started tracking again. And I needed that accountability on a daily basis. That the fact is, did you hit your macros? Are you at your macros? Are you over? Or are you under? Yes. Okay. And I used an app. I used the RP app where it would say, it's like, right, it calculated everything for me. I had to input it. I could cook my own food, but I could also go out and I had to do it. But I was accountable by putting it in because it asked me where I'm at. And this has been 6 weeks, the last 6 weeks, and I'm now back to a place where it's like I'm actually eating. I have a really good balance, really good balance with my food again. But I needed that reset, but also realized I needed some sort of accountability. And then classes have been going on, and obviously coming back into it. And it's like we all go through this struggle of food, and it's like highs and lows, but realizing, right, what we're doing, is it making us happy?
It's always that self-realization.
And if it is, continue to do what you're doing. If it's not, then where can we make that small change?
I mean, that's the thing with the Kickstart 30 booklet that we have. Being able to check back in with yourself, like how did training go? What did you eat for the day? And what was your mood? And a lot of the times people do see this as something like super on the surface level. Okay, I did this class, I ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I feel happy today.
Right.
But actually, the whole purpose of this is to really get you to check in with yourself. Okay, I did a blaster class, and usually I do really well in that, but let's say for some reason today I didn't do so well. Okay, why? It's always asking yourself the why. Why did I not have a great training session? And you're looking back at your week, or maybe looking the day before, seeing, okay, I had a really tough week at work. Maybe I was just super exhausted. Or maybe you can look back the day before. I can see that I wasn't really eating well. I had way too many snacks. Maybe I had alcohol. And it's constantly checking back in, like, how did that make me feel? Did I enjoy that? Am I happy with this? What the choices that I'm making? So you're really challenging yourself to get real with yourself. And a lot of the times people are scared to track and to journal, or to to really journal with themselves, because they're scared of the truths that they might find, or maybe the truth of how they're really eating. Because at the end of the day, people can just tell me, I eat pretty well, protein, carbs, and fats, but then in reality, they're having a snack at noon, an extra fizzy drink in
a croissant at 6 a.m.
A quick little pick-me-up from 7-Eleven, and they don't realize this adds in. And so tracking, it's not to make anyone feel bad or feel guilty. It's really about to see, okay, am I actually doing the things that I say I'm doing? You'd be surprised at the things that you find, or the things that you might not actually be doing like you said you have. So tracking and data will never lie.
And that's the same for our current member. I think the same for our current members. We're talking a lot about the brand new people, but the people who have been coming to us for a while they're like, oh, I just don't feel like I'm seeing any progress. It's like, okay, great. Let's look at your training pattern. How often are you coming? You're coming 2 times a week. 2 times a week is like 20%.
Yeah.
Okay. Or, and it's not the people who are coming 6 days a week, 5 days a week, following the programming, who are the ones who are saying, I'm not seeing any progress. They're not the people who are not tracking on WADA, so they can come into class every single week and saying, it's like, right, last week I lifted 60 kg, this week I want to get better and I want to do 62 kg. It's the people who aren't tracking. So tracking their food, tracking their training, tracking their nutrition, tracking their sleep, their recovery, like all of that is it's a visual guide, right, for data.
And
data doesn't lie.
And people hide from it. But when you're hiding from it, you don't see that change. And so you're in this constant cycle of like, I'm not seeing the results, but I'm also not allowing myself to see those results or see that change or give myself the opportunity for change just because they're scared of the number that they'll see. Because maybe the story that they're telling themselves, is that they're not wanting to make that big change because it's scary or whatever, that feeling gives them. So, I mean, just journaling in itself, maybe, if it helps changing the word from tracking to journaling, do it, because it's the only way you'll be able to see whether you've progressed or not, or are happy with the current choices you're making. And that's the whole intention with the Kickstart 30 is to really, number one, yes, build that routine, build that training, improve your nutritional choices, but also to really get real with yourself and make that deep level change within yourself beyond training, beyond routine. It's really asking yourself the hard questions. Am I happy with the choices that I'm making? Am I happy with the relationship, that I have with myself? Am I happy with the relationship I have with food? And a lot of the times, it's no. And people avoid filling in this journal because they're scared of that answer. But the only way to get better is by tackling that exact thing you're scared of. So it's a vicious cycle, but we're getting better.
And that's where I think that we come into play with that, because we do ask them. It's like, how's the journaling coming along? Have you tracked?
Yeah.
And
they're like, I haven't
yet.
Yes.
What's stopping you?
Yeah.
I love when it's, oh, I'm terrible at journaling.
Yeah, it's like you can't.
And you're like, wait, what's terrible? Like, you're not consistent at, like, and again, we're candid in the fact is we're gonna ask them. We're gonna ask them why.
Yeah.
Saying, well, why are you terrible? Versus just allowing them to say, it's like, oh, terrible. Okay, move on.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would. It's like, oh, I'm terrible. Okay, fine, then you don't need to journal. And there are certain things it's like you don't have to do.
Yeah.
You should want to do, because we will educate you on the benefits for it and how they've helped other people, and it could help you. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe there's a different way. If you don't want to write down, fine, use your phone. If you don't want to do that, use voice notes. If you don't want to do that, get a board on whatever it is. Put it in your calendar. Whatever works for you. We have resources to help you. We'll educate you along the way of what has worked for the 250 members that we have here, and plus more that we've seen come throughout the door. And that's where I think like we have the power, because we've seen so many women currently be members, but also come throughout the last 6 years of being in business. The fact is that it's not new.
Yeah.
Everything that we go through is the exact same thing. The conversations we have are exact same thing.
Yeah.
But we get better at it. Everyone gets better the more effort that they put into it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You have to want to do it. We can only do so much from our end, but we can't make you get up in the morning, get out of your bed. I mean, we can text you.
Yeah,
we will.
Yeah.
But you have to want to get out of bed to be able to better yourself. You have to want to be able to go to the grocery store, make time, and get the food that you need so that you can make your meals. You want to have to want, being able to organize your time better so that you can sleep a little bit earlier. You have to want.
You want. Yeah.
Maybe reducing your alcohol intake, maybe saying no to a night out of like how many every week. You have to want to do it. But we are here to support, that change. As long as, this teamwork goes 50-50 both ways. We can't make you do anything. So
if there's to wrap everything up, if there was one piece of advice that you could give to new people who maybe have been scared to reach out to us or scared to try a class, what would that piece of advice be for them?
Mainly what I tell everybody, even when they're here, is you need to give yourself a little bit more kindness. You have to believe in yourself, because sure, you can plan through your training, lifestyle, and nutrition, but if you are not kind to yourself and believe in yourself, then all of this is for vain. You know, so you just need to give yourself a little bit of belief and just say, I can do at least one class. And it's always that one class that will get you through the door, and that, you know, little step forward for you to be able to say, okay, maybe I can do one more. Maybe I can do one more. And that's with everything that you do in your life. You kind of just have to take that little tiptoe step in and go from there. So believe in yourself, be kind to yourself, know that you can do it. No matter what anybody tells you, you are your own person, and you make the choices that you want to be the best version of yourself. It only takes that one little step.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the 5th episode. Thank you for joining us, sharing your many wisdoms, and yeah, that's a wrap.
Thank you. That's a wrap.